Okay, we're back in the glass bead game, and I want to go through the interview that Pope Francis did with an Italian paper. And I'll just start in the middle of the interview. Uh, Jesus, as you pointed out, said, "Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." Do you think that this has happened? The Pope answers, "Unfortunately, no. Selfishness has increased, and love towards others has declined." So this is the goal that we have in common, at least to equalize the intensity of these two kinds of love. Is your church ready and equipped to carry out this task? And the Pope answers, "What do you think?" And then the interviewer says, "I think love for temporal power is still very strong within the Vatican walls and in the institutional structure of the whole church. I think that the institution dominates the poor, missionary church that you would like." Pope answers, "In fact, that is the way it is, and in this area you cannot perform miracles. Let me remind you that even Francis in his time held long negotiations with the Roman hierarchy and the Pope to have the rules of his order recognized. Eventually he got the approval, but with profound changes and compromises. Will you have to follow the same path? I am not Francis of Assisi, and I do not have his strength and his holiness, but I am the Bishop of Rome and Pope of the Catholic world. The first thing I decided was to appoint a group of 8 cardinals to be my advisors. Not courtiers, but wise people who share my own feelings. This is the beginning of a church with an organization that is not just top-down, but also horizontal. When Cardinal Martini talked about focusing on the councils and synods, he knew how long and difficult it would be to go in that direction, gently but firmly and tenaciously. And politics? Why do you ask? I have already said that the church will not deal with politics. But just a few days ago, you appealed to Catholics to engage civilly and politically. I was not addressing only Catholics, but all good men of good will. I say that politics is the most important of the civil activities, and it has its own field of action, which is not that of religion. Political institutions are secular by definition and operate in independent spheres. All my predecessors have said the same thing, for many years at least, albeit with different accents. I believe that Catholics involved in politics carry the values of their religion within them, but have the mature awareness and expertise to implement them. The Church will never go beyond its task of expressing and disseminating its values, at least as long as I'm here. But that has not always been the case with the Church. It has almost never been the case. Often the Church was an institution has been dominated by temporalism, and many members and senior Catholic leaders still feel this way. But now let me ask you a question. You are a secular non-believer in God. What do you believe in? You are a writer and a man of thought. You believe in something. You must have a dominant value. Don't answer me with words like honesty, seeking, the vision of the common good, all important principles and values, but that is not what I'm asking. I am asking, what do you think is the essence of the world, indeed the universe? You must ask yourself, of course, like everyone else, who we are, where we come from, where are we going? Even children ask themselves these questions. And you? I am grateful for this question. The answer is this: I believe in being. That is in the tissue from which forms bodies arise. And Pope answers, and I believe in God, not in a Catholic God. There is no Catholic God. There is God, and I believe in Jesus Christ, His incarnation. Jesus is my teacher and my pastor, but God, the Father, Abba, is the light and creator. This is my being. Do you think we are very far apart? We are distant in our thinking, but similar as human beings, unconsciously animated by our instincts that turn into impulses, feelings, and will, thought, and reason, and this we are alike. But can you define what you call being with a capital B? He answers, being is the fabric of energy, and this is the interviewer, Chaotic but indestructible energy and eternal chaos. Forms emerge from that energy when it reaches the point of exploding. The forms have their own laws, their magnetic fields, their chemical elements, which combine randomly, evolve, and are eventually extinguished, but their energy is not destroyed. Man is probably the only animal endowed with thought, at least in our planet and solar system. I have said that he is driven by instincts and desires, but I would also add that he contains within himself a resonance, an echo, a vocation of chaos. All right, I did not want you to give me a summary of your philosophy, and what you have told me is enough for me. From my point of view, God is the light that illuminates the darkness, even if it does not dissolve it. And a spark of divine light is within each of us. In the letter I wrote to you, you will remember I said that our species will end, but the light of God will not end, and that at that point will invade all souls. It will be in everyone. And the interviewer says, yes, I remember it well. You said, all the light will be in all souls, which, if I may say so, gives more an image of immanence than of transcendence. Pope Francis answers, transcendence remains because that light, all in everything, transcends the universe and the species inhabits at that stage. But back to the present, what we have made a step forward in our dialogue. We have observed in society and the world in which we live, selfishness has increased more than love for others, and that men of goodwill must work with each with his own strengths and expertise to ensure that love for others increases until it is equal and possible exceeds love for oneself. Once again, politics comes into the picture? Certainly. Personally, I think so. So-called unrestrained liberalism only makes the strong stronger and the weak weaker, and excludes the most excluded. We need great freedom, no discrimination, no demagoguery, and a lot of love. We need rules of conduct and also, if necessary, direct intervention from the state to correct the more intolerable inequities. Your Holiness, you are certainly a person of great faith, touched by grace, animated by a desire to revive pastoral, missionary church that is renewed and not temporal. But from the way you talk and what I understand, you will be a revolutionary pope, half Jesuit, half man of Francis, a combination that perhaps has never been seen before. And then you, like the betrothed Manzoni, Holderlin, Leopardi, and especially Dostoevsky, the film La Strada and Prova d'Orchestra by Fellini, Open City by Rossellini, and also the film by Aldo Fabrizi. Pope Francis answers, I liked those because I watched them with my parents when I was a child. Then the interviewer says, then you are, may I recommend two recently released films, Viva la Libertà and the film Fellini by Etta Scorla. I'm sure you'll like them. Regarding power, I say you know that when I was 20, I spent a month and a half in a spiritual retreat with the Jesuits. The Nazis were in Rome and I had deserted from the military service. That was punishable by a death sentence. The Jesuits hid us on condition that we did spiritual exercises the whole time that kept us hidden. And Pope Francis responds, but is it impossible to stand a month and a half of spiritual exercises? He asks, amazed and amused. I will tell him more next time. We embrace. We have climbed the short staircase to the door. I tell the Pope there is no need to accompany me, but he waves that aside with a gesture. We will also discuss the role of women in the church. Remember, the church is feminine, and if you like, we can also talk about Pascal. I'd like to know what you think of that great soul. Give all your family my blessings and ask them to pray for me. Think of me often. We shake hands, and he stands with his two fingers raised in blessing. I wave to him from the window. This is Pope Francis. If the church becomes like him and becomes what he wants it to be, it will be an epic change.